I'm 73 years old, and I need to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. Most of you watching this aren't living. Not really. You think you are, but you're performing. And I know this because I spent 50 years doing the same damn thing. Let me tell you what that looks like. I had everything society told me to want. Corner office, six-figure salary by 40, respected in my field. People knew my name at conferences. My wife drove a nice car. We had a house with 4 bedrooms, even though it was just the 2 of us and a dog. From the outside, I'd made it. But here's what no one tells you about making it. You climb, and when you finally get to the top, you realize you've been climbing the wrong mountain the whole time. And by then, your knees don't work anymore. I remember the moment I started to wake up. I was 67, sitting in a cardiologist's office looking at numbers on a screen that was supposed to represent my heart. The doctor was talking about blockages, about percentages, about time. And I wasn't thinking about my career. I wasn't thinking about my retirement account. I was thinking about my son. We hadn't really talked in 3 years, not really talked. We did the obligatory calls on birthdays, the surface-level check-ins, how's work, how's the weather, fine, good, okay, talk soon. And we both knew we wouldn't. I'd missed his life while I was busy building mine. Missed the moments when he actually needed me because I had a presentation to prepare. Missed the conversations that mattered because I was too tired from conversations that didn't. I chose a career over a son, and I did it one small decision at a time, so gradually that I never noticed I was choosing at all. That's how it happens. You don't wake up one day and decide to waste your life. You just keep telling yourself you'll do it later. Later, I'll travel. Later, I'll write that book. Later, I'll call my father. Later, I'll tell her how I really feel. Later, I'll start actually living instead of just getting through the week. Later is a lie. Later is the thing we tell ourselves so we can keep doing what's comfortable right now. I spent 30 years at a company that replaced me 6 months after I retired. 30 years. They had a party, gave me a plaque, and moved someone into my office before the week was out. All those late nights, all those weekends I said no to my family, all that stress I carried in my shoulders and my jaw. And the company didn't remember me by the time my replacement learned where the coffee machine was. You think your job needs you. It doesn't. You think success will fill that emptiness inside you. It won't. I kept thinking the next promotion, the next achievement, the next number in my bank account would finally make me feel like I'd arrived. But arrived where? I had everything I was chasing, and I'd never felt more lost. The real tragedy isn't that I wasted time on things that didn't matter. It's that I knew they didn't matter, somewhere deep down, and I did it anyway because everyone else was doing it too. Because it was easier to follow the script than to question whether the script made any sense. You want to know what I think about now? It's not my career highlights. It's not the awards on my shelf. It's the afternoon my daughter asked me to teach her to ride a bike, and I said I was too busy. It's the trip to the Grand Canyon I postponed for 15 years until my knees gave out. It's my father's last voicemail, asking if I wanted to grab lunch, and I meant to call him back, but got distracted by emails. He died 4 days later. I still have that voicemail. I've listened to it maybe 300 times. You're thinking, this won't happen to you. You're thinking, you're different. You'll find balance. You'll make time for what matters. But you won't. Not unless you understand something that took me 70 years to figure out. The world is designed to keep you asleep. It rewards you for playing the game. It gives you promotions for sacrificing your humanity. It calls ambition noble and rest lazy. It tells you that connection is what you do after you've handled your priorities, as if the people you love aren't the only priority that will matter when you're where I am now. I stopped playing about 5 years ago. Not because I'm brave, because I got tired. Tired of pretending I cared about things I didn't care about. Tired of nodding along in conversations that were just noise. Tired of measuring my worth by metrics that someone else invented. And you know what happened? People got uncomfortable. My old colleagues stopped inviting me to things. Friends drifted away. Not because I did anything wrong, because I stopped performing the role they expected me to play. I stopped agreeing just to keep the peace. I stopped laughing at jokes that weren't funny. I stopped pretending that what we were talking about mattered. Most relationships, I learned, aren't built on truth. They're built on shared illusions. Two people agreeing not to look too closely at the fact that neither of them is happy. When you stop participating in that, you realize how few people actually want to know you. They want to know the version of you that makes them comfortable. Real connection is rare. Not because people are bad, but because real connection requires you to stop performing. And most people aren't ready for that. They're still trying to impress each other, still trying to prove something, still afraid of what it means to be truly seen. I've had more honest conversations in the last 5 years than I had in the previous 68. But there have been far fewer of them. Quality over quantity, silence over noise. A few people who see you as you are, instead of a crowd that sees what they want to see. Here's what nobody tells you about waking up. It's lonely. Not because you're alone, but because everyone else is still asleep, and you can't explain what you've seen to someone who hasn't seen it yet. You look at people rushing through their days, chasing things that won't matter, and part of you wants to grab them by the shoulders and shake them awake. But you can't. They have to find their own cardiologist's office, their own moment when the numbers stop adding up. If I could go back and talk to myself at 30, here's what I'd say. Stop waiting for permission to live. Stop postponing joy until you've earned it. Stop measuring your worth by how much you produce. Stop believing that busy means important. Stop saying yes when you mean no. Stop avoiding silence because that's where the truth lives, and you're afraid of what it might tell you. Start disappointing people. Start saying no to things that drain you. Start choosing presence over productivity. Start having the hard conversations now, because later they'll be impossible. Start understanding that your time is not infinite, and every yes to something meaningless is a no to something that matters. Call your parents. Not because you should, because one day you won't be able to, and you'll realize that every conversation you postponed is gone forever. Sit with your children. Not while scrolling your phone, but actually sit with them. They won't remember what you bought them. They'll remember whether you were there. Travel while your body still works. Write the thing you keep putting off. Tell people you love them while they can still hear it. Stop optimizing your life for some future version of yourself that might never arrive. Be here now. That's it. That's the whole secret. Be here now. I know how this sounds. You're thinking it's easy for an old man to say these things. You're thinking, I don't understand your pressures, your responsibilities, your situation. But I understand exactly. I told myself the same things for 50 years. I was always going to start living once I finished this project, once I got that promotion, once the kids were older, once I retired. And now I'm 73, and retirement isn't freedom. It's just more time to think about all the time I wasted preparing for a life I forgot to live. The truth is, I'm angry. Not at the world, at myself. Because nobody forced me to live this way. I chose it. Every single day I chose safety over truth, comfort over growth, approval over authenticity. And I can't get those days back. You still can. You think you have time, but you don't know that. Nobody does. You could have 50 years or 50 days, and the question isn't how much time you have. The question is what you're doing with the time that's already slipping away while you watch this video. I spent most of my life waiting to be happy, waiting to be ready, waiting for the right moment. And the right moment never came. Because there is no right moment. There's only this one. And then the next one. And you're either showing up for them or you're not. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about it. If you died tomorrow, would you be satisfied with the life you've lived? Not the life you're planning to live, not the person you're trying to become, the life you're living right now, today. Would it be enough? Because if the answer is no, then what are you waiting for? I'm 73 years old. I have maybe 10 years left if I'm lucky, maybe 5, maybe 1. And I'm finally awake, finally seeing clearly, finally understanding what mattered all along. But I'd trade every bit of this clarity to be your age again, knowing what I know now. You have that chance. Right now. Today. The question is, what are you going to do with it?